232, 231, 222. Those are numbers that popped up. Pieces to start with the star balloons. Y'all had to take a second, okay? Because messages that are coming through, they're all about shadow work, okay? A lot of the times when we do take our time to basically remove ourselves, um, a lot of us who are healers, we're healing ourselves in order for us to basically be at a rate to where we can actually share the message that is going to aid, you know, um, in revelation for others, right? One of the things that was brought to me, and it kept on being brought to me, it was participate in preference, um, and the idea of enough. A lot of the things that I have been in awareness of, and even in previous representation of, like I represented this energy through participation, right? Through anticipation, through sitting and living in trauma at certain rates, and not being in the rate to where I was in acceptance of shadow, right? Because shadow be loud a lot of the times, but we don't really want to deal with it. Recently, I have been basically, I said this a lot, a couple of lives ago, probably like 2 or 3 lives ago. I was speaking to how we aren't aware of how many layers are present when we are healing, right? So then we go through the processes of desiring to heal, and we believe that we've done it because we've achieved a peace. We've been able to eradicate a root, and because we believe that we have this root, we believe that that's it. I've been alerted to the realization that each layer has many floors, and even when you get to a new plateau, this is a new beginning in that space. You're going to go through many floors, upon completion. And it's okay. It's all right. That's how it's meant to be. One of the things that I've been having the opportunity is addressing my mother wound and my father wound, particularly right now in the father wound for me. And the reason is because we are at a space where divine union is being called to the forefront for a lot of people who have healed to this rate. And there's small hanging fruit that needs to basically be addressed in order for you to be in a certain level of surety when you are representing, like I said, yourself. And one of the things that Spirit had been saying to me is participating in preference, um, in the shadow of enough. I wasn't aware until probably maybe like 3, 4 years ago, how I basically was meeting certain parts of trauma in relationship, based off of how I had interpreted and stored my realization and my vision of my father. Um, you hear all of the things, and so it could get 3D, but a lot of the times we don't understand like the true psychology behind how you are raised, how things are shown up, how you are taught, how you're programmed, and how these things are stored within your inner child, within your brain, with the tissue, within your blood, that allows you to align to certain things, y'all. I'm trying to stay focused, but I have cats, okay? That I be feeding, and I've been feeding these cats for almost 3 years. These my babies. I don't bring them into my house, okay? But I love these cats, and my cats was just taken, and I'm upset about it, okay? So that's that. But I just seen the vet just pull off. But anywho, it might be what's best, But anywho, participating in preference in the shadow of enough. A lot of the times we don't understand. One of the things that I wrote it down, um, living in this space, of me basically being aware and acceptance of, the fact that I went through a divorce and everything, these past last year or whatever. And one of the things that my spirit basically had brought to me was, you see, your shadow tells you he's just like your dad. And the way that he's treated you basically was a representation of also how you experienced your dad treating your mommy. And one of the things that my spirit basically alerted me to was the right of acknowledgement versus the truth. The truth is he'll never replace the wound that's been fractured. He will just represent the trauma that went left unhealed and unaddressed. And you perpetuate participating in preference over purposely healing patterns, right? A lot of the times we don't allow ourselves to be in full accountability of self. We'll sit in the rendition of the speaking of, the trauma bonding, the trauma sharing, the trauma dumping of experience, but we don't actually go through the resolve and actually allow ourselves to be studious and study of ourselves, to capture patterns, to be able to heal and eradicate certain things so we could be able to move forward and to actually live in the newness that we've acquired because we understand and we have clarity. A lot of the times we will hate experiences and engagements and exchange with people based off of how we perceive our, I don't want to say it that way. Based off of how we've perceived other people have chosen to basically come in an engagement with us. A lot of the times we call forth a lesson because we aren't willing to represent what we've actually ascertained in exchange. We call forth these things. So you might be angry or mad that somebody put you through something that you went through again, but you called this in to your vortex by not being an acknowledgement accountable for your energy. I wanted to once again say, participating in our preferences, you could state a list of things that you desire, you want to have in a connection. You could say how you would like people to come in engagement with you, and you could even aspire to be a certain type of experience for other people. The reality of it is that if you are allowing yourselves to constantly participate in preference and not being in representation of attained lessons, like I have these lessons under my belt, I understand this type of energy now, not necessarily saying that this energy is going to be representative across the board, but because I have this wisdom through experience, I now can show up differently. And I'm going to allow myself to represent the enoughness. A lot of the times we don't believe ourselves to be enough, not because we aren't enough, but because how could I be enough if my mom wasn't enough to my dad? And if my dad chose to not to be, you don't understand how these things could be constantly placed on a track. It's inside of a little mind, and how they live and how they build up. My baby keeps on calling them skyscrapers in her head. How they build up these tall buildings, right, in our head, these tall platforms. These are hurdles that we're constantly, I don't we're constantly going over, but we're living in these spaces. We invite people into these spaces with us, and we desire for people to basically meet us and greet us at a certain rate so they could prove to us that we're enough, when really all we have to do is go back to the spaces that we may have relinquished due to our own desire to not deal, you know, recognizing that we're enough because we choose to care enough to actually go in and deal with the things that have been ailing us, that have been affecting us. And a lot of the times when we take accountability of self and we have responsibility of our own healing and where we're going and how we're moving through life, a lot of the times how other people meet you and where they greet you at, it be a lesson for them, and um it'd be kudos for you. Like, you doing good, you recognize it before this may have previously been a trauma, but because I actually allowed myself to live in a space where I picked up this root and then I got another root. I picked up this branch and I took these vines and they led to yet another root. I didn't stop because I didn't need anybody to give me permission to what is a comfortable rate for me to be at. I'm moving towards that which is necessary for me. Why? Because instead of me participating in what I would like and what I desire, I'm aligning because I'm aware of who I am. And that is what makes the enough count. I hope this message comes across in a way that doesn't feel forced, that allows you to take whatever you believe, you could utilize to apply to whatever it is that you're traversing through right now at this time. Yes, the energy is crazy, but spirit is wanting us to be at a rate to where we are in our truth and in our integrity with it. We don't have to be in the midst of whatever people would want us to be in the midst of. We get to stay aligned. All right. Peace. I hope y'all have a good day, and stop participating in preference. Allow yourself to align, which that is. All right. And go get your patterns, girl. Go get your patterns, sir. All right. I love y'all. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and link is in the bio if you like to read.